Good evening. Please bow your heads. Lord, we come before you tonight with grateful hearts. You are a faithful and loving Father. We know that your ways are higher than our own. This week has been a challenging one, and we are grateful for your guidance and protection. We are thankful for our resource officers who you have placed at our schools. Bless them for their hard work and continue to guide them. We ask for your continued divine protection for our schools, students, and faculty. We can do nothing without you, Father. Strengthen us as we seek your presence. Help us to keep our focus on you and in turn be a love offering and light to others. We ask for your wisdom and guidance for our school leaders and teachers in the decisions that need to be made. Help us all to keep our focus on the students and creating a safe and positive culture within our schools. And lastly, Father, I ask that you be with each person in this room. Fill them with your presence and guide their decisions. Remove any distractions that would hinder your plans, and reveal to each board member and school board representative a clear path that aligns with your will. We thank you for all you have done and will do in our community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I do have a green card here from a public person. Unfortunately, it's not an agenda item listed on the green card, and according to our policy and Robert's rules, we cannot engage in the conversation. But I do, if the person wants to come speak to any of us after the meeting, we will gladly talk with them at that time. So thank you. You have your agenda in front of you. Number 1, to consider adopting the agenda as presented. I'll take a motion to accept. Mr. Thibodeau made a motion. Mr. Radler seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, to elect officers of the Beauregard Parish School Board for 2025. I think, Mr. Hawley, you'll take it from there.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Lafitte. As per our policy, we will have one vote tonight for board president. If it is, since we are at an odd number, we were tied last month. So according to no one has had any other thoughts, we will have a clear winner tonight. I will call by alphabetical order the first candidate. I will ask you to raise your hand if you are voting for that candidate, and I will say thank you when I have got all the names or votes down. So the 2 nominees, there can be no more nominees. In case either one of you would like to rescind, you can do so now. But if you do not, we will now take the vote. Ms. Cynthia Lafitte, for school board president, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you very much. And for Ms. Nikki Weldon, please raise your hand. All right. Congratulations, Ms. Weldon. You are our 2025 school board president. If you would, please take your seat at the front of the table. And Ms. Weldon, once you are seated, you will take nominations for vice president and then call the vote.
All right. Thank you, guys. So, continue with item number 2. I will now accept nominations for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Scott Sanford.
I have Scott Sanderford. Are there any other nominations? All right. Having heard none, I do so appoint Scott Sanderford as
I
Vice
think we
President.
still
Do we
need
still need to
I think we
vote?
still need to vote, or do we not? Then,
Okay.
is Mr. Sanford is now the vice president.
Yes. Congrats, Scott. Item number 2, to consider adopting the minutes of the January 9th, 2024 regular meeting of the Beauregard Parish School Board as published in the official journal. Did everybody receive their minutes and review them? Yes?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to adopt?
So made. I'll second.
Mr. Riddler, second by Mr. Sanderford. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Number 4, to hear the superintendent's report. Mr. Hawley.
All right, thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'd like to recognize, well, once again, our new student rep to the board, Ms. Isabella Pomero from Singer High School, is coming to update us on our parish.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start by saying thank you for the opportunity to be here today. We have some excellent schools here in Beauregard Parish, and I am honored to have been chosen as student representative. I'm excited to share my first report, so let's jump right into it. Starting off with the Mighty Singer Hornets, January was a fun and eventful month for the Hornets Nest. Our elementary school was visited by Harvey Rabbit and friends who came to teach valuable life skills and show off awesome magic tricks. Our elementary students then competed in a school-wide spelling bee, where master speller Charlie Zonbecher proved that no bee sings harder than a hornet. Now she's gearing up to represent Singer High School at the SWLA Regional Spelling Bee. Meanwhile, the senior beta took a road trip to Lafayette for the Beta State Convention, where they made new friends, heard inspiring speeches, snapped selfies, watched competitions, and even participated in a grand scavenger hunt. As you can see, the senior beta members had a great time. But the excitement doesn't stop there, as Ms. Hardwick's second grade class put their persuasive writing capabilities to the test when they sent out persuasive letters addressed to Singer High School's principal, Mr. Gore, asking him to deliver them a well-earned sweet treat. Needless to say, the letters were a great success. Maryville High School did a stellar job with the Beta State Convention, with 8 students placing in the top 5 across 9 events, qualifying them for nationals in June. But that's not all. Taylor Cooper knocked it out of the park at the FFA Beauregard Parish Expo 2025 and the Southwest District Show in Lake Charles and earned Grand Champion Beefmaster Heifer, Grand Champion Dorset Lamb, and Grand Champion Commercial Ewe, as well as placed first in Beefmaster Heifer, first in Commercial Ewe, and Reserve Champion Dorset Lamb. Congratulations to Maryville High School and all of their insanely intelligent students for bringing home so many impressive achievements this January. I'm sure that we all can't wait to see what they do next. DeRidder Elementary School has been going non-stop this January. Recently, DeRidder Elementary held their Family Math and Science Night, bringing students and families together for a fun night of hands-on math and science-themed activities. The good times will roll once again as they prepare to hold their annual Mardi Gras poster parade on Thursday, February 27th, and their parade of book characters on Friday, March 2nd, to celebrate Read Across America Week. Once again, DeRidder Elementary shows us that learning can be both creative and exciting for everyone. DeRidder High School celebrates numerous successes this month as they continue to wrap up their winter sports season. Both the girls and boys soccer teams qualify for state playoffs, with the boys starting off with a massive win against Port Allen in round 1. Additionally, the boys and girls basketball teams hosted their rival, Leesville, for their annual Sweetheart Court game. DeRidder would like to congratulate the ladies voted to the court, and especially their show-stealing Sweetheart Court winner, Soraya Jackson. But the sports weren't the only highlight, as DeRidder would also like to congratulate their ambassadors in blue for their brilliant All-Star and District B Honor Band performances. DeRidder is so proud of the band's accomplishments and the hard work and dedication from their wonderful band directors. Finally, DeRidder's FBLA students did a fantastic job recently as I had the privilege of leading the pledge at the DeRidder City Council meeting. At East Beauregard Elementary School, teachers and students welcomed Harvey Rabbit, who hopped in to teach students important character skills. Additionally, East Beauregard Elementary recently hosted the most fabulous tea party Beauregard Parish has ever seen, featuring scrumptious goodies and delightful teas for students, presided over by King Mr. Weldon and Queen Miss Beard, as well as other royal dignitaries. Along with morally upstanding rabbits and delightful tea parties, East Beauregard Elementary's robotics students find themselves traveling all the way to Iowa and Sulphur to participate in robotics competitions. The two teams brought home 3 awards: the Innovate Award, the Design Award, and the Robot Skills Award. Now they are proudly rocking 2nd and 8th place in their debut year and will go on to compete in the state championship in Baton Rouge later this month. Finally, East Beauregard Elementary School would like to spotlight their champion spelling superhero, Gracie Harper. Gracie displayed her brilliant spelling ability during their epic spelling bee showdown and proudly claimed her victory. Her next stop will be the regional spelling bee later this month. Congratulations, Gracie Harper. East Beauregard High School has been all about growing and improving their new robotics club with 2 generous donations, including a laptop with coding software from Fastwire and $500 from Lot Oil. Meanwhile, East Beauregard High School saw top spellers Cooper from 8th grade and Wrangler from 6th grade rise to the top, with Cooper now moving on to regionals. Additionally, varsity softball and baseball are preparing for a successful new season with our first games kicking off in February. I'm sure that the Trojans are ready to give this season all that they've got. To conclude, East Beauregard High School would like to spotlight 2 standout seniors, Colin and Kara. Both of these seniors have done an excellent job representing their school recently as they participate in various sports and clubs, clearly showing their strong support for their school. With all of these exciting events and activities, I'm sure that any Trojan can agree that East Beauregard High School has been the place to be this month. Last but definitely not least, South Beauregard High School has had quite a few students stand out this January, representing their school well as they take home victories from many different sports, clubs, and competitions. South Beauregard High School's FFA livestock judging team recently competed at the Texas State Invitational with some serious skill, with students Mariana Henry, Bailey Johnson, Brianna Lee, and Kendall Sitvin placing in the top 25, while Gabby Baggett and Hunter McDaniel placed in the top 50 out of 241 contestants from across the nation for the Northeast Wisconsin Virtual Invitational Veterinary Science Contest and Meat Identification Contest. What an awesome achievement. Not to mention the Lady K's and Knight soccer and basketball teams preparing to conquer the playoffs after successfully finishing their first season. Great job, South Beauregard. Overall, January for schools in Beauregard Parish was full of victories, and I cannot wait to share with you what the rest of this year will have in store. With that, this concludes my January report.
Thank you, Isabel.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Danny Reynolds and Mr. Jerry Shirley, who are here tonight from the Louisiana Armed Forces Alliance. Jimmy?
Jerry was supposed to give a speech, but told me he wasn't going to do it. We got here. I'm Danny Reynolds. This is Jerry Shirley, and we are here on behalf of the Board of Directors for the Louisiana Armed Forces Alliance. And we're pleased to present a check to the Beauregard Parish School Board as a part of an economic development initiative to support education in our local schools. So,
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll
Awesome.
get a
Thank
picture.
you so much.
So, President, Vice President, please come.
Photo op. Clean them teeth? Nobody knows.
Yeah. Hey Jerry, I thought that was my check. And then the check you owe me for back at the police union.
Thank you, sir.
Got lots of good notes here, so let me get to this. And at this time, I'd like to call Ms. Nicole Crawford and Ms. Ashley McBride forward, representing DeRidder Junior High. Tonight, they have with them the NASA TechRise Student Challenge team. The NASA TechRise Student Challenge is a national program which challenges students in 6th through 12th grade in the United States and its territories to submit science and technology ideas to fly on a commercial high-altitude balloon. This program is put on by future engineers and sponsored by NASA. NASA TechRise chooses one winning team per U.S. state and territory. The DJHS team innovators had their proposal chosen as the winning entry for the state of Louisiana. Ms. Squirrel?
All right, good evening. First of all, thank you for inviting us to come and share what all our kiddos are doing. They're doing some great things, and I'm going to let Miss Nicole Crawford, who is our robotics teacher, tell you more about it because she is the guru of the robotics.
So I found out about this on Facebook, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for our students to participate in this challenge. I thought at most, it might be a great opportunity. They're going to learn some things, and then their proposal blew me out of the water, and obviously it blew NASA out of the water as well, because they were the winning team in this national competition for our state. And they only choose one, so they are the one. So I just want to introduce these students because they're the ones who are doing all the work. I'm just helping them along. So Macy McBride, if y'all want to just, where do y'all want them to go? Anywhere specific?
As you call their name,
Okay.
they can come up front.
Samuel Galloway, Michael Hester, Alyssa Peterson. Look, running like a rodeo girl.
Y'all just stand right there. Stand
Annalie
right there.
Crouch, Alexiandra Lewis, Jane Buxton, Landon Stapp, and Quentin Washington. So these are your group of seventh graders.
Congratulations. This time I'd like to invite back the board president and the Ritter board members to come take a photo with me.
Just stand by.
You want to stand behind us?
Sir?
Stand behind us.
You want us to come around? Go around, do it right. Do it right.
Y'all got to get up close.
This time I'm gonna say goofy. You're just a lonely singer right now.
It's called Death and Discovering Which One Takes Thermal Heat. We're going to put a thermal.
Dana Touchette and the DeRitter FFA parliamentary team forward. The DeRitter FFA parliamentary procedure team traveled to Live Oak High School the week before Christmas break to compete at the state FFA leadership development events. The purpose of the parliamentary procedure leadership development event is to encourage students to learn to effectively participate in a business meeting and to assist in the development of their leadership, research, problem-solving skills, and critical thinking. Members are motivated to participate in discussions in a systematic and democratic manner through a study of parliamentary procedure. Participants in the parliamentary procedure, there's a lot of P's in this paragraph, LDE are given the opportunity to enhance knowledge and express mastery of parliamentary law while building strong teamwork, leadership, and communication skills. Participants demonstrate their abilities to conduct orderly and efficiently meetings, present logical and convincing discussions, and properly record meeting procedures. Each team must take a written exam, conduct an 11-minute demonstration, and respond verbally to parliamentary law questions. This event is one of many ways the FFA prepares student members for career success and makes a real connection to lifetime goals. The DeRitter FFA Parliamentary Procedure Team won first place and will represent Louisiana FFA at the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis, Indiana in October. We are extremely proud of these members for their work. they have put in to receive so prestigious awards. Ms. Duchette?
First of all, I just want to thank y'all for letting us be here. And I know most of you in this room know what they are doing for parliamentary procedure, so that's awesome because I know for them, whenever we first started out with this, they had no idea what was going on in those videos I was showing them. So I just want to talk a little bit about each one of these students. First of all, the award is very, very, very special to me because I did parliamentary procedure when I was in high school, and through all of our attitudes from them and from me, and the long hours, the rough practices, I'm really grateful for them for sharing my passion for parliamentary procedure and FFA. But these team members, first of all, we have Mizba. Like I said, it started off with a video, and I was like, there's no way they're going to compete in this. And she was just one that was like, no, we got to keep doing this. We got to keep finding members. Like, I want to do this. Please help us. She was a huge part of just keeping the team together. And even on days where, like, I wasn't even there to be able to practice, she would set up and be like, okay, we need to practice today. Like, let's make sure we're better for the next. Let's do better. So her leadership is one of the biggest parts about this team, and just she's one of our best debaters as well. So Kinley, I always say that Kinley reminds me of myself, and that's because when she starts something, she's really timid. She normally doesn't have much faith in herself because she's so shy, but I feel like with this and this FFA and with parliamentary procedure, she kind of brought out a new side to herself. And I know the whole team is very, very proud of her because at state, she did amazing, like the best she's ever done, and that really helped them step out, and she was very confident in that time. And then we have Jermaine. He's always been one of my most reliable FFA members from his freshman year till now. And with the other seniors, he didn't start with them when FFA, when parliamentary procedure happened though. So, but he always makes them laugh. He was on task, making sure they study every single day. Even when I'm working with other students, he's like, hey, let's study. Let's do this. Let's make sure we're ready for the next one. He's pretty much the backbone of our team. And he really impressed me with his determination. Last year when we started this, he learned parliamentary procedure in 1 week to make sure that our team that could compete. So I'm really proud of him for that. Aiden's not here today, but I really want to say something about him too. He started out like Jermaine did when he was just a sophomore though. At first I didn't know how it was going to turn out because Aiden is really a country boy, and I was like, I don't know if he can be, as professional as we need him to for this contest, but he turned out to be one of the best debaters that we have on our team, and he's really jumping through a lot of huge hoops to learn with us and come to nationals, so I'm thankful for his dedication. Then we have Kayla. We had some unforeseen circumstances this year, so we had to replace one of our original team members from last year, and they ended up convincing Kayla to do it as a sophomore because most of them are all in the same class together. The whole time we were expecting her to be on our second team, but she ended up impressing us so much that she ended up being on team 1. And she has a lot of poise, dedication to learn, and they helped me choose this. And with that short amount of time, it's a huge honor for her to make it to national level as a sophomore. So I'm very proud of her as well. And then last but not least, we have our chairman, Maddie. She continues to impress me by the way she runs this team. At our first competitions, the judges kept saying how she was kind of bashful and she was shy, but I think it was because she just didn't feel good. But the next competition, she proved them wrong. Like they said she was one of the best chairmen they had seen, and they were just raving about her and her ability. And I don't think this team would have been the same without her for sure. But I know all the other teachers in state keep bragging about how much of a huge accomplishment this is for us. But it really is just a bigger one for me, like I said, because FFA was my passion with parliamentary procedure. But it's all because of them and their dedication and determination for FFA, and I'm very thankful for them. And thank y'all for having us here tonight.
Last one.
I finally get to take some. Been doing this 6 years, Scott. Been doing this 6 years. You've taken more pictures than me.
Okay. If you recall, several months ago, I came to the board about wanting to do some internal reviews of processes, particularly in our personnel and our finance department. Through much research, we were able to get put in contact with an organization, ran out of Alabama, but does a lot of work in Louisiana and the southern states, to review some particular processes in personnel and finance, and just to help us to be better. As part of whenever I took this job, and I think all of us on the board, especially those who are new, we talked about wanting to improve, to continuously grow, have transparency, and just make the best product we can for our parish. So during that process, Lean Frog Consulting Services came in, did a thorough data analysis comparison with similar sized parishes, and looked at our procedures, our policies, and their happenings. And tonight, Mr. Brandon Payne, who is their representative who has worked with us, I'd like to welcome him up to the podium. He is going to walk you through the short presentation. The other presentation is about 76 pages long, and it has a lot of information of the statistical data nature. But I've asked him, for the sake of transparency and brevity, to pinpoint things we do well, things that we need to work on, that we can improve on, and to kind of show what the process was for us to be here and to be better. So, Mr. Payne?
Thank you, sir. As a former teacher, principal, superintendent, and State Department worker, one thing I would suggest quickly is never have me come behind all these wonderful kids. How do you follow that? You know, you got great kids doing great things. People are bringing money, some checks, and all this. And it's like, oh, we have this consultant. Let's have him up there and talk about what we're not doing. So, but no, it is a pleasure to be with you. Glad to be with you. As he said, I work with Lean Frog, and they have worked extensively across Louisiana, but also 4 or 5 other additional states across the Southeast, doing this work for almost 17 years now. And so understanding the operational side of schools and school systems, really that's what we focus on, is everything outside of the classroom and how that works. And so as you'll see in this short report, as Mr. Holly did indicate there, we gave him a much deeper one that goes deeper. We share that with the staff. We're going to go over that with your staff in more detail so that they can understand where the path forward is, and that's the critical piece of that. It's one thing to identify where you are and what can be better, and then it's how do you do that. And so that's kind of what I'll share with you quickly here so that we can go through that. So I'm not sure who's progressing slides here, but you can actually skip the next couple ones there. That's fine, you can go by that. So the next one, commendations. We always start with this because it's important to note these things. As we engaged with your staff here, several of the staff members, somewhere between 10 and 12 of them, as we talked to them, they were forthcoming, they were transparent, they were willing to share things. You can imagine, both with my personal experiences in education itself, and then also working in this side with the tools and things we leave, it becomes apparent quickly if people are, trying to nuance something one way or the other, or this or that, and that was not evident here. Everybody was forthcoming. They were willing to give us additional data. They were willing to give it again, share it in a different way, formats and those things. And so we really appreciate that, because when you're trying to improve, that's important, that you lay it on the table. Too often we look for judgment first, as opposed to let's put it out here and then let's talk about how we can improve. And so that willingness to do that, to work across, as Mr. Holly said, we work with personnel and finance primarily, those 2 departments, but being able to bring that together and how that looks going forward will be important. So next slide, please. I found the person sliding them up over here. He's hiding in the corner. So one of the biggest things that we found is acknowledgement of process issues. And so to point that out to you so you understand is when we work with personnel and finance, we went through with each employee and each of their work through their job description, the job analysis questionnaires they do. And then we said, okay, well, we see that you have all these processes, and that could be anything from running payroll to onboarding an employee to recording documentation, all of the different things, setting up budgets, all those things that go on in personnel and finance. So we walk through each one of those, and we map each one of those, and then we analyze the processes for 4 areas of waste. And so then we share that back so that we understand where that is and what can we do going forward to eliminate that, to improve the outcomes for your customers, which in this case are going to be obviously students, staff, and then community. And so doing that, so you can kind of see here some of the little things we found, or some of the high-level things, some inefficient data updates leading to inconsistencies, error rates and reimbursements and things of that nature, underutilization of the Munis system, but really it's underutilization of the software systems that you have, because there's a clear evident thing about you have good software systems and you have people that are working hard to use them, but those systems are not talking well with one another. And so that's what we've got to figure, that's what we're going to lead the path for. We know where to go with that and how to get there so that can be done. And that will improve the overall ability to do so. And then the other one is to reduce the reliance on paper processes. Because, I'm old school. I like paper. I enjoy writing on paper. I like having paper, touching paper. But the one thing I realize is I'm also human, and the more times somebody touches that piece of paper, the more error opportunity there is. If I've got to write it down, I'm going to write it down, and then somebody's going to write it down wrong, and then we're going to have the next thing. And so that's where you want to get the systems up and going so that you can reduce as much of that as possible. You'll never get rid of all of it, but you want to get rid of most of it. So next slide, please. So the high-level recommendations are kind of this. There's an ability to align the staff based on their functional opportunities functional activities that they're doing, rather than just being personnel, finance, and this is it. It's like flat, and that you want to have a structure to that. So we're going to look at how to redo that. We're going to optimize that configuration of the systems that are in place, whether it be the onboarding system, or it be the substitute system, or the leave management, or the financial, or the payroll. Make sure they're all connected properly together so that they're working in a standardized manner. And then once we do that, then you can digitize those records and you can keep that so that we have everything correct. And so data in, data out. You want good, solid data coming in. So, as simple things as I shared with staff earlier, it's the way you put somebody's name in a system. Well, once you put it in the system, it needs to go in the system the same way every time, no matter where it is. Because if you have first name, middle name, last name, or first name, last name, or their given name versus the name they're called, well, now we have confusion, and that's where errors come in and those things. So doing some of that, and then transitioning to more online tools for reimbursements, travels, trips, things, all those things that come in, making changes to their payroll, making changes to their name or their anything going on like that. We've got to be able to do that in the system so we capture it correctly. And so with that, if you'll pull up the next one, there's a path for continuous improvement. And I want to give this illustration because I think this is what you really want to take away from this, and what your staff here and Mr. Holly are going to now, go forward with working on how to make the correct changes for that continuous improvement. You have a system of layered processes here. And by that, what I mean, and you'll think about it like this, there's what's always been. There's always those things we've always done, or many times that's the way we've always done it. My family has a very certain way we're going to have the holiday time and these things, and so we all know that. And so the same is true of an organization like a school system. There's things that we've done, and that's just the way we do it because that's where we are. And then there's the new requirements that come in, whether those be from the state, or they be from the board, or they be from the superintendent, that get added to those. And then over time, and we can especially say this in the last 20 plus years, we've added systems, so software systems, technology systems. We went from paper to typewriter to computer to now, artificial intelligence and whatever else is coming in that. And the thing is, all of those layer together. Well, the problem is if we've not strategically aligned where we're going and then continuously analyzing those for improvement, then we're missing the mark in what goes forward. And so that's the thing that we're faced with when we look at the report as a total, is that layered part. And really what it comes to in that too is staff. When you look at your staff that are managing these things and that are working in these things, there comes a level of, you cannot get more human time. We all understand that. There's only so much time in the day, and there's only so much they can do in time. But if we make the processes more efficient and we make the systems work better together, then the outcome is better for everybody. And so with that being there, then it's not really a staffing issue as far as do you have enough or not enough yet. You can't get to any of that until you figure out, are you doing it the correct and efficient way? And so once you do that, then you can capitalize that. And so, because there's some other opportunities that are going to come in there to do that, but really it's that setting it in the path forward of best practice and then continuously reviewing that. And those continuous reviews, some are going to be annual, some may be more often than that. Looking at what you're doing, do you need to make a change to the process? And then you also can have a way at that point to adapt, whether it be state law or federal or board policy or memos, anything like that that would drive a change. You'll know how to implement the change. And so, one thing I know Mr. Holly shared with me is he's looking forward to having additional conversations on how to move forward because he knew that this is something that they needed to do. And so, when we point those things out, our goal is never to go, oh, well, you're broken and you can't do anything about it, because that's not the case. The case is you are where you are, and now we can help you figure out how to go to that next level, to get where you want to, so you reduce these things. And I know just in talking to staff members and Mr. Holly, anything can come up, onboarding or pay reimbursements or payrolls and those things. And of course, then as board members, somebody's calling you and they're being, oh, well, this happened to me. Well, why did it happen? So now we go down this rabbit hole of trying to figure that out. But the problem is when you do that, if you're only looking for that one thing, you'll find the answer to the one thing. But that's not the answer to the bigger problem. That's the answer that you see because it's the one thing you were looking for. And so you got to look at the whole system and figure out how to put it together. And so that's what we look forward to continuing to help you do. I'll entertain questions if we want to do that. I don't mind that. I'm not as good as the kids, though. I'll say that. Y'all got some outstanding kids. Yes, sir.
As far as training goes, did you take a look at what's in place right now as far as training? Take the software of Munis and other aspects of that software. Is it lacking? Is it something that we're just not doing enough of? Is there something that we can implement that's going to better identify where we can grow and where we can improve?
Yes, sir. We looked at it, and so here's the thing. What you've got to look at, a couple things. First of all, you've got to determine the whys. Okay, so Munis is your financial software system. It also has connections to your HR system for personnel. It has all those things. But the why you're using it and those things, and we've got that captured. We understand why that's there. Now, getting that translated, and here's the thing that comes in when you start talking about Munis, and really you can talk to Frontline or any of the others that you're using because there's multiples there. The first place you want to start is configuration. Do we have the system configured correctly? It's my understanding through the review that we did and then the conversations we have with your staff that there's configuration issues. And so once we get it configured correctly, then to answer your question, training is the next step, and that's the important piece. Because if they're going to training and it's not configured correctly, well, the trainer doesn't know that, so I'm teaching you how to use it, but when you go back, that screen doesn't look like it did when you went to training. And so that's an evident problem that's going on.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I know you move seats, so I mean, like people move seats, but their names didn't move. So I'm like, because I almost called you, I almost said Mr. Rick. I was like, that's not who he is. Sorry. Anyway, sorry, I'm a process guy. People move, the names go with them. That's all I know. I'm like, I don't know who's who. Anybody? Yes, sir.
How long did it take to put this together? How long did it take?
Thank you.
Here to
He's out.
Okay, so for me, I got involved with the work they started before I did. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry. The company did. So pulling data. But I was here on site in December, early December, and then did the interviews and things and did the process walkthroughs. And then we did the data analysis through that time frame up until a couple of weeks ago when I started sharing the reports or the drafts of the reports with Mr. Holly and going through that. So somewhere in about I would say 8 weeks. I think if I go back and look, I think the contract started sometime in October, mid-October, to be somewhere in that time frame.
Yes, sir. It was October. I announced it at the October board meeting, and we started the data collection questionnaire.
Right. Yeah, during November, because our data collection, people are like in shock and awe when we send that to them and go, hey, we want all of these things. They're like, wait a minute, what? So, but it brings back really good information, because the other thing about that is you want to make sure that you capture all of the data, because, again, to the same point, if somebody calls you and says, well, they messed up my paycheck. As a board member, I get that. I had boards forever. And I understand that. And you call the superintendent, and the superintendent goes down and talks to CSFO, then they talk to the payroll, and we figure it out. The problem is we got to look at all the data because there's things that are factoring or affecting that one thing. And so that's the bigger thing. So that's why we do the data first, then we do the on-site, then we do the analysis after that. So I could have simplified that answer and said about 2 months, 3 months, 2-3 months, something like that.
How many other systems have you ever reviewed aside from ours?
Well, no, there's a difference in that between Leapfrog and me personally, but I'll speak for Leapfrog in that. I'm going to say just in the state of Louisiana, somewhere between, give or take a number, but somewhere around 25 parishes. And those range. Now, understand that because Leapfrog, again, basically everything outside the classroom. So we'll look and do a comprehensive organizational review. So we'll look at everything you have from an organizational standpoint, starting with the board and going down all the way out to the schools. And then we stop at the school door with the principals and those things. And so we'll do that, or we'll do what's called a compensation analysis. So we'll go through every one of your jobs, job description, job analysis questionnaire, look at the compensation. We'll look at how you compare to other parishes, how you compare to what I call the real world. If you're talking about maintenance workers and secretaries and things, like, how are you competitive in your area? You know, can you get high quality people, or what level can you get? So we do that. Then we do what we call detailed efficiency reviews, which is what Mr. Holly engaged with us to do here, and it was specific to departments, so personnel and finance. But we do those for transportation. We do those for child nutrition or nutrition, school nutrition, lunchrooms, things of that nature. And then we do them for facilities, which is mainly maintenance and operations. So we do that. But it's about 25, I would say 25 to somewhere between 25 and 30 parishes over the last probably 4 or 5 years in Louisiana. Company-wide, it's somewhere around 125 to 150 parishes, school districts, things of that nature across. You start in Arkansas, you go Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, across the southeast. They're based out of Huntsville. So,
Is Munis a system that is pretty widely used in those areas, or do they use other programs? Because I have to wonder if Munis is offering all the things that we actually do need, or if there is something that's better that maybe we should be looking at that offers more and can be built upon.
okay, so let me answer this. Well, to answer your initial question, which was, is Munis widely used? It is in particular areas in each state, so different things. Because you also have in some states where some states have the schools, the parishes or county systems can pick from one of 5 approved state ERPs, Enterprise Resource Programs. Some say you can pick anything you want to, we don't care, it's not our business. There's other states that are, hey, it's a statewide implementation, you can only use this one. And so they use it statewide, everybody, the state buys it, everybody uses the same one. So we see it in all different ways. So that being said, we've ran into Munis. I personally have ran into it in Tennessee. I know we've ran into it here in Louisiana, where they use it. And so, but to answer the second part of the question, which is, you know, are there others? Are there better? There are plenty of others. You can pick other all day long. It seems like in that world, because you can do finance, you can do HR, you can do them together. You know, they're different ones. And then in the education arena, a lot of times they'll get bought and put together. Different ones do that. But what I would say to that is this, and it goes back to, which is why Leapfrog does the work they do the way we do it, is you really got to understand where your issues are, what the processes you're using, what are the requirements, whether those be state law, federal law, is it state board policy, is it local board policy, is it local constituents in the county, you know, in the parish or wherever you are, governance. And once you know that, then you can start looking at, okay, well, now let's go analyze systems, software systems or programs to see which ones best fit what we need. And then and then once you've made that decision, of course, in this case, you already have Munis, so you could look at how do we ensure that it is configured correctly and that our people are trained appropriately. And then, and I shared a little bit, I don't want to get too technical, but like database stuff where you look at all the different software systems you have and you say, okay, how do they talk together? So APIs, how do we do that? We can, you know, we can assist with that. We can direct you to other people that can do that. Each of those companies can do that. Sometimes they'll tell you things that are
right. Sometimes they'll tell you things they want you to think they got. So you got to figure that out. So sometimes that's why you like having that other person that goes, I've been in 150 school systems and I've seen this over and over again, and what you're saying will not be the way it is. So
Exactly.
be glad to help with that too. So
It seems as if you've looked at the systems, the operations, and the technology department part of it. Did y'all kind of look at the personnel individually and see how that was working?
Yes.
Coordinating, and did
Yes.
you have recommendations? You don't have to give them, I just wondering if that was asked.
So here's what we look at from a personnel standpoint. We start with asking the district to give us a job description. So you've got a payroll clerk, you've got a payroll manager, you've got a CSFO, you've got a personnel director, you've got a personnel secretary, all these different positions. We want to see your job description, first and foremost. And then the next question to that was when was the last time the job description was updated? So we understand, because there's somebody sitting in that seat, they're that. So we want to know, does this match with what you have them doing? Well, the way we get to that is what we call a job analysis questionnaire. Now, if you ask your staff members about job analysis questionnaires, they'll have the same reaction I do, which is, please don't ever make me do that again. Because you have to go line by line with your job description, and you share with us what you do and what percentage of time in a week or through the year that it takes you. How often? Is it weekly, monthly, annually? Maybe you only do it once a year. But we want to know, okay, well, you do it once a year, but how much time is it? And so by percentage. So then once you have those two things, then you can start looking at the analysis of, do we have the number of people necessary? Because now I've also collected all the data about, and I think, and I'm going to go from memory, and it's not on the slides, but I want to say you run somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 plus payrolls a year. And so now understand that 75, that means 75 runs of people getting paid, some group of people somewhere, whether that's everybody or a subset or whatever. And so when you look at those things, well, what we want to know is, okay, well, we have a payroll manager, we have the job description, we have a payroll of this person. How does that work to ensure that that's what you're doing, if you're doing that meeting? And then from there, you can start gleaning evidence of whether or not you have the appropriate number of staff. Is it understaffed, overstaffed, is it what? And so in that, your staffing here is a secondary moment. It'll come after the other. You got to optimize what you have, and then you want to look at that. But yeah, we look at it. It's there, and so
It's in the report.
it is right. Yep.
Probably fine with running lean with everybody's true description of what they do every day, every week.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. But, when you start looking at it's because a lot of times somebody will have a job description and they got hired and they're in a position. But then you find out, I don't want to get position specific, but I do know, like, I speak of the leadership that you have in this with your personnel and your finance. They wear other hats. There's other things they do. And so, because, I'll go to one district and they'll be like, well, I want you to meet with our personnel director. Great. All they do all day long is personnel. Their job description says that. Now, the other one may have a job description that adds, we all put on their additional duties as assigned. That's why we do a job analysis questionnaire, because I want to know what the additional duties are. Because sometimes you may have somebody that's serving in a role, whether it's the CSFO or the personnel director or the superintendent, which superintendent gets everything. But it's that thing of, what else do you have them do? What is that expectation? Because if it is, then you may be understaffed or you may be overstaffed, but it depends on what else they're doing. So we look at it from that perspective, though. Don't worry, we didn't recommend hire 10 new people. We didn't do that.
Sorry.
It's like, where's that money coming from?
Not in the budget. So it works for free. I hear you. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure to work with you all. It's been a pleasure to be here with you tonight. Again, if you have other questions, I know you'll ask Mr. Holly those questions, and he and I are going to talk. He's already shared that with me, and I've shared with him too that we're going to spend additional time with your leaders of the departments and those going through everything, because we want to make sure they fully understand what's there. And then we can work on that continuous improvement piece, which is what you're after.
It's what we're all after. It's what we ask of our students and those things every day. I tell you, I have to commend you, though. I just take a moment. As I said when I opened briefly, former principal, everything. I did it all. I started in maintenance in the summer in college. So I went from there all the way to deputy state superintendent before I retired from my career. Having students, student representative come and share what's going on at a board meeting, it's the first time I've ever seen that. Now, I've seen plenty of them get called in for awards, but having that is unique. So I appreciate being here tonight. I've enjoyed seeing that. Wish you well.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
We'll be in touch.
All right. Well, I hate to just say that and then walk out the door, but I got to be at an airport at about 4 in the morning. So
Oh.
I wish y'all the best. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. And as Mr. Payne is leaving, just a couple of things that, as we're able to process that information, I'm going to send the rest of that reports to you. But one of the things that I'd like to highlight on is, it is in our board policy that we pay 2 miscellaneous payrolls a month, 10th and 24th. That was one of the premier things in the first analysis of the information was, for a district your size, you're running triple the payroll. And a lot of our error comes from the numerous amount of payrolls. That's why he honed in on that tonight without getting too specific. The second thing that we may be considering and need to be contracting out someone to come in and configure our system, because we have people on staff. Ms. Carpenter is excellent in Munis, but she's the CFO. She not only does chief financial officers, works on our budget, she also works with TRSL. She works with our retirement clerk. All of those many things. Have Ms. Crane do it. Well, Ms. Crane is personnel, but she's also over CPR. She's also over literacy training. She's over numeracy training. So I told him not to get into weeds. I said, pop us on the hand, tell us what we could do better, and help us to get there. So just want you to know that we've already started the process. We're going to continue to work, and I'm going to continue to give the information as we have it. So the longest superintendent report that I've ever been in is about to be over. Last thing, Louisiana law mandates that board members receive continuing learning units, CLUs, annually, and that the superintendent of the school system shall transmit a press release to the official journal detailing the information for his school board members, that this is posted on the Louisiana School Boards Association website. The training hours received by Beauregard Parish School Board members for 2024 are as follows. Carlos Arshield, 10.5 hours. Ray Bowman, 10.5 hours. Garrett Green, 6 hours. Jared Kibido, 8 hours. Cynthia Lafitte, 12.5 hours. Christy Neely, 6 hours. Brian Redler, 6 hours. Scott Sandiford, 6.25 hours. David Shirley, 6 hours. Nikki Weldon, 8 hours. Total for 2024, 79.75 hours received training. Thus concludes Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Hawley. Item number 5, to receive budget revision number 1 for fiscal year '25.
And I'll wait till everybody gets their revision. I think there's an extra one in that pile too for Mr. Hawley. I'm not going to go page by page, but the best thing that I would like to do for you for a good explanation as where the changes are is anywhere in our major funds, because that's what we oversee, if there was more than a 2% change in that total area, then I would just like to review that really quick with all of you. We have sectioned this off based by the general fund. I'm sorry, based by the fund. So you'll start off with our first major one, which is our general fund. We'll move into ad valorem, sales tax, school food service, and our others, which include JROTC, workers' compensation, parish-wide debt, and our bond, which is what we look at on Monday. Your first page is what is called, where that big X, big square is what we call our Form A. We have to put this to the state, and it is also on our website every time there is a revision or a brand new budget posted.
Your two charts in the front are just visuals showing your general fund, ad valorem, and sales tax funds, where you had your changes in regards to your expenditures and your revenues. That's just a visual to help you see it with your percentages of change on both of those. If you could turn to general fund section, page 3 of that, you'll see special programs and your first organizational code of GF 1500. That'll be a little over 5%, but that's what we're touching tonight. This is a change with an increase in aides at some of our locations so that we could better suit our students at those areas. So that's where you'll see that. That's your increase in salaries and benefits. Page 4, turn the page. You'll see your general administration, which is your GF 2300. You saw an increase there of 46.67. If you look at your line of GF 2300, 55200, that is where we paid the 2017 and 2018 mitigated penalty that we had. So moving forward, you can review these. If you have questions, by all means, reach out to me, but I'm just going to touch on, like I said, the ones where there's more than a 2% variance. Page 6 of the general fund, your community service operations, GF 3300 area. There was an increase there of 2.36. This is where we saw an increase in the cost of the 4-H program. We haven't seen an increase in that program in a while, and he had come to us and we honored that request. Moving into your ad valorem, that's going to be your next section. Your revenues, we're going to see the increase on those. State sources, those are kind of changing. I'm keeping an eye on those. With the change in who is going to be exempt from paying property taxes, that state piece changed a little bit. So I'm just keeping an eye on that. You'll probably see another revision in that area at the end of the year. Your local sources increased because we received some insurance proceeds. So that helped us, and it brought it up a little bit, something I wasn't budgeted for, but we got some, and that changed it in that area. If you continue in ad valorem, we saw most of the change in general fund and ad valorem, so those are the two areas we're going to stay in. If you look at page 2, your instructional special education, your AV 1200s, you saw a decrease of 8.55. There was some extra monies that were allocated to our IDA grant. So with that, we had met our MOE, which is our maintenance of effort, that we have to provide as many state and local funds to meet the grant funds as well, showing that we are making an effort to not only use federal funds, but also our state and local. Because we met that, I ended up moving some of those funds around to put those monies in areas where we needed them because we got the grant monies in that area. Your other instructional programs, this was 100% change. This is your AD 1400. This was, we saw an increase, help me with what they're called, are they the field athletic trainers? Okay, field athletic trainers, there was an increase in the cost of those. So we saw a piece of it charged here and another piece of it charged in the general fund. That's what that changes for your AV 14. Moving right along. If you look at your staff support services, which is your AV 2200, this is your library portion coming from ad valorem. What changed in here was to be able to move monies to put them in other areas where we needed them. The parish itself, not the schools, are allocated funds to be able to buy library books. This year, the libraries, we moved some monies around, and where they used to spend had money allocated to purchase periodicals, many of the librarians asked to have the periodical fund moved to just books, so they had more money to buy books instead of magazines. With that, we didn't have as many books that we needed to purchase, so the monies were moved out of there, thus making that a decrease of that 20%. If you look at your AV 2500, which is your business services, This line saw an increase as there was a cost of the softwares that we use. Those are our front line, which is our personnel, subcaller, Munis, PSST, all of them. In maintenance and operations for AV 2600, you'll look at your salary line and you'll see a big jump there. This is because for the first time, we actually have all of our maintenance positions filled. So for the last 4 years, I have not had a clear picture to be able to see what that line looks like. So I would rather over budget than under budget, move pieces in there, and if we don't end up using that money at the end of the year, you'll see that in a revision as well. But I'd rather have too much in a line than not enough. The other piece of that was your AV 26255500, your other purchase services. You'll see that that almost doubled. That is because that is where our property insurance comes from. Well, it didn't almost double. I would say it went up probably 25%. That's the line that we pay that property insurance from. Your central technology activities, your AV 28, technology is making a good effort across the parish to try to get new technology in the schools, new computer monitors, new towers, all sorts of stuff. So we needed to increase his supplies so he can keep giving the students and the teachers in the parish the supplies they need in order to do what's best for the schools. I know that there was a question the other night regarding roofs. Where do we put that money? How do we budget? How do we save? We can't technically save the money that we get because we have to allocate it and spend it to the best of our ability and be good stewards of the community. So that's where the budget comes and that's where we allocate. But you can see at the end of this, you have an AV 42, an AV 43, an AV 45, and an AV 46. This is where if you want to look at doing those parish-wide improvements, they would go in one of these 4 pots. This is really, and I will say this, is where the last several years there has been difficulty to be able to get those parish upgrades, or over the last so many years, because by the time we pay off the salaries, the benefits, the curriculum, that money that's left is usually what gets put in down here, what we can say, not save, but give to where it is. And I can tell you there is not much. But we did start the year with $100,000 in the building improvement services. And that had to get reallocated upwards because we had other curriculum needs. Cost of textbooks went up, so that got moved. But there was $160,000 in the AV 42 that is still there. Mr. Hawley has been very good about putting and spending at the schools as far as their needs and getting things taken care of. But that's something that we can look at in the long-term planning. How can we build those 4 funds up? Okay. At the end of the year, you'll end up having your excess revenue to expenditures. Right now, you're at about $8,000 of excess revenue to expenditures. It is the cost, like I tell you all the time, to educate a student is going up, but we're not getting anything extra to do so.
Ms. Faulkner, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
In terms of, you said, how are ways that we can increase this pot? Does the funding to do that, would it have to come exclusively through the ad valorem fund, or
Yes.
can it be seeded from other funds?
It has to come from ad valorem. Ad valorem is only for repairs and maintenance, no new builds. If you're going to see a new build, that's why we get the bonds.
Yeah.
So, and I can tell you just from when I first came here and listening to prior admin, that was the biggest frustration, was because the need, they knew the need was there, but it was difficult. I mean, people that have returned on the board, you've seen there's not much money in those funds to allocate to that. Now, we're building the reserve back up, so like years ago, was it the $300,000 that you all put aside? You can look at those kinds of things. You have the financials from your audit to look at those. You're able to allocate those funds. If you see something in the reserve, to be able to put something here for those
my
needs.
question right there.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
So we can pull it from somewhere else and
So I
allocate
would
it.
like to just, since we're talking this subject, it was brought to my attention about the roofs that we recently voted to fix at South Boulevard. And Mr. Shirley has indicated that we have several roofs in need of repair, and it's millions of dollars to do so. So if we're successful here, is there something we can attach or tag each year a roof at a location some way? And like Ms. Carpenter said, we can't pre-spend funds and we can't save or bank, but you can, through your voting, put money into one of these funds from reserve each year for this. And I would, I won't say campus beautification, but one of the reasons why we spent $1 million on ACs is because there was nothing like this for year to year. It's like it broke, fix it, put a Band-Aid on it. But having this thought process in mind, I would like for us to kind of move forward with doing this so that next time we're 10 years down the road or 20 years down the road, that we don't have to spend $1 million on just getting buildings livable. It's always going to be about just making them better. So as we go through the next couple of months, just keep that in mind.
There really was nothing, these were the biggest pieces that I had to revise. They're our biggest two budgets. They are the ones that we work out of the most. Sales tax, we actually saw an increase on the revenues, so I bumped those revenues up a little bit. As far as the expenses on that side, those will stay the same till the end of the year. And then at the end of the year, you'll see that in the revision. Other funds, by all means, look at them. If you have any questions, reach out. That's all that stood out to me. If you have any questions this evening. Okay, other than that, you
And
can.
this will sit for 30 days.
Yeah. Yeah, the law changed. It's got to sit for 15 days. There'll be a copy in the boardroom, but you'll all vote on the revision at the next meeting.
Thank you for going through such detail with us.
Yes.
It is very beneficial.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I will say, speaking of job descriptions, Mr. Ensminger, Ms. Carpenter have worked very well together. And as we're moving forward, preparing our new budget. So we are, all three of us are available for any questions that you have. Just shoot us a text because we are taking this as a team.
Awesome. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. All right. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion made. So,
Mr. Redler and Mr. Arshield.
Mr. Shirley.
Oh, Mr. Shirley and Mr. Arshield. All right. Adjourn.